Good morning, traders. This is a live trade recap. I took a bunch of trades this morning, about 6. I'm going to go over every single one of them. And I also took a trade in the aftermarket yesterday, which kind of started a snowball effect. And I pretty much have made a big mess out of my account since then. So we've got a lot to go over, but I'm sure there is a ton that you're going to learn in this video. So stick around. So starting with yesterday, I have been debating these past couple of weeks whether or not I want to trade anymore in the aftermarket. I'm pretty good about picking the right thing to trade and making profit in the aftermarket. But one thing that I don't like about trading in the aftermarket is that you can't organize the list by volume and see which stocks are being traded with the highest volume. So it always makes me feel uneasy trading like that, because if you know the way I trade in the other sessions, I always organize the top gainer list by volume, so I know that I'm trading stocks with the highest volume. But yesterday, HDSN was the top gainer when I opened up Weevil at 401, and I put it on my watch list. And then when I was checking the volume on the individual candles, it looked like there was a lot. I mean, there was a lot of volume there. So 9,000 on the first candle, and I think it was quite a bit more than that on the second candle, like 39,000 on the second candle. So that's a lot of volume. It looked like it was kind of coming out of nowhere, which is what I like. So now I'm just looking for an entry, which is once this thing, broke through the previous high, which it obviously did. Now I'm waiting for a pullback. So here's the pullback. Just marking out this is the new high. Now here, so you see, this was the pullback. So my entry is for the break of this candle, which happens right there. I get filled at 177. The ideal entry would have been at 176. So it was only 1 cent slippage, which is really good. But that 1 cent made all the difference in the world as this trade played out. And you'll see what happened, what I mean by that. So now here, my 2-hour calculator, I put in my actual entry, 177, my actual stop, which is 1 cent below this candle. And that put my target at $2.13. Now, if I would have gotten the entry of 176, my target would have been 210. So my 2-hour target's 213. I put in the order. This thing takes off. Everything's looking good. It gets really close to my limit order. I don't want a weak hand. That's a bad habit that I have. Notice it went all the way to 210, and it's starting to come back around. Now here I was thinking, okay, what would have happened if I would have got my ideal entry? My target would have been 210, and it's debatable on whether or not I would have actually been filled there. All that has to happen is that the bid has to be at 210 at some point. So I just want to go back a little bit here and check that. Okay, so right now the bid is $2, so let's keep an eye on this number here and see if it ever gets to 210. Now it may have gotten to 210 really quick and this thing not catch it in time. So this may not be like a definitive way to check this. Yeah, it looks like this never showed 210, so I may have not gotten filled. But the point is that it did get very close to my target, which doesn't mean, the whole thing about this 2-hour trading is it doesn't matter how close it gets. If it doesn't hit, you don't do anything, So I was doing the right thing by just holding strong. And I was expecting at this point, another pullback and then this thing to go higher. So now it's down below or right around my entry. And keep in mind that I started this trade right around 4 p.m. So I'm in at 20 minutes now. So I just pulled up GME at this point just to keep myself entertained, because we all know what's going on there. So now it's starting to curl back up. It was looking good. Then it gets weak again. And I think I stopped recording at one point. But basically what happened, yeah, because this video is getting crazy long. It's like 48 minutes now. But basically what happened with this stock is it chopped around my entry for a long time. And, I was already kind of sick of it at this point. And I probably should have just got out there because I didn't want to watch it anymore. But I felt like I would be doing a disservice to my trading plan and strategy, which says that I have to stay in the trade until it hits one or the other, my target or my stop loss. So it was, kind of having this mental struggle with that, and or internal struggle. And at one point I decided, I don't have time for this. Let me just do something else. It looks like this thing isn't really moving at this point, and it's still very far away from my stop loss, so I should be okay to just let it go. So that's what I did. But then basically what happened is, let's go to the next video here. What happened is, so this is kind of like where we left it a second ago. And oh yeah, so this is the next video. So I guess I did resume recording a couple times because I thought, oh, it looks like it's going to hit my stop, and I wanted to catch it on tape, on video. And let's just fast forward through. You see, it's just not moving. I mean, I moved this to the side because I was trying to do other things. Once again, it comes down, I start recording again. So here's 160. My stop loss is the break of 160. So it has to hit 159. I have to see 159 here in order to stop out. Now, notice what happened here. This is pretty weird, and this is maybe where I made a huge mistake. See, this never ever went below 160.01. Now, you can blame Weeble for that if you want, but I think I have to take the blame for this one because my stop is 159. I'm just used to trading off of this, and I didn't see 159, so I didn't exit out, and that was kind of the excuse I made. Of course, I did notice that after the fact, this candle dipped down to 158, and at that point, I should have just sold all and been done with this trade. But I didn't. I just kind of told myself, well, I trade off of this thing, and I never saw 159, so let me just sit on this. And not much happened for the rest of that video. And now that brings us to this morning. So what ended up happening with HDSN is that right before, well, basically like 20 minutes before the aftermarket closed, and I wasn't really watching it at that point, it finally did dip down below my stop loss. And I was still holding at that point. And I did try to get in here and cancel it right before 8 p.m. or close the order. And something was going on with Weeble at that point. But it was right before the aftermarket was going to close. So still, I got to kind of blame myself for just making a mess of this trade. So right now, this is the pre-market today at 4 a.m. I still have this position open. I was watching AMC because it looked, like it was going to go crazy, and it pretty much meets my criteria as far as a lower float. It's around 100 million shares. It had the highest volume in the pre-market, so it belonged on my watch list. And I was just waiting to see, I didn't want to exit out of HDSN right at this moment because I don't think I showed it yet, but the spread. Okay, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, right then actually would have been a good time to do it because it says the bid was 154, so I would have gotten filled, but I guess I just wanted to see what was going to happen with it, if people were going to come in and push it back up. But I'm not really supposed to do that. It already broke through my stop loss. I'm supposed to sell it immediately. So now I'm watching AMC, and obviously this thing's running up, so now I'm waiting for the pullback. This is like, for me, classic ABCD move. Here's A, B, and then here's C's forming, and then my strategy is to buy for the break of the 1 minute candle. So right there, I got filled at 1277, and then the stop loss is the low of the previous candle. So this is where, kind of like I said, that I made a mess over here. This is like a snowball effect that happens when you start kind of, I don't want to say breaking my rules, because I didn't have like a hard and fast rule about not trading in the aftermarket. It was just something I was contemplating. But I know going into that trade, I felt kind of weird about it. Like, I don't know if I should be doing this. So I had that feeling, that, hey, I'm already kind of just screwing things up, and when you do that, you tend to continue screwing things up. So now, yeah, at this point, look here, the bid was 141. So if I would have sold it there, I would have gotten filled at 141 and taken a huge loss. So I just waited on that. So I basically missed the opportunity to get out at 154, which would have been better than what I ended up getting. So here, this thing comes down toward my stop loss, but doesn't hit it. And then I decide to average in here, which, I have a rule about not averaging down. And I mean, that's like my number one rule, is never average down, because you're basically saying, I'm in a losing trade and now I'm going to put more money into it, which is just a dumb idea. It works out once in a while, but it usually fails. Now, this is kind of a gray area, because to me, averaging down is when your stop loss gets hit, and instead of taking the stop, you buy more shares, averaging down. So here, this was kind of like a no man's land for me. It's not part of my, I don't have anything that says I should do it, and I don't have anything that says I shouldn't do it. So, but for whatever reason, I decided, let me add to my position here. And I changed my profit target, because it was really high before, 15, 17. So I kept my stop where it was, and I used my current entry. I mean, I guess that's why I did it, but it still wasn't a great idea. And I sold my, I got filled at 151, so pretty close to that 154, but that's about 8 cents less than what I would have sold it for if I would have sold it right after this dip. I probably would have actually got out for like 160 or something. So I took about 9 cent slippage on that, and with 23 shares, that adds up. So that loss was bigger than it needed to be, and it wasn't even really a trade I don't think I should have been in, even though it was very close to working out. And that's the thing about day trading, is what if that trade did work out? Would I be saying it was a trade that I shouldn't have taken, or would I be saying, well, this was a great trade? And that's why you just need to really look at the big picture and figure out some hard and fast rules, so that things like that don't trap you. And I'll talk a little bit more about that a little later. So now we're in that average down trade, and now it's looking like it. So I decide to, since I averaged down there, I decided to lower my stop to the low of this candle, because I figured it could bounce off of that area. But if it broke that level, I was definitely out. So I think like 1149 was where I wanted to get out at if it went against me. So here it bounced. So I was thinking, okay, That was good. Now it's going to come back up, but it doesn't. Right here it comes down, and I stop out. I get filled at 11:38 because it just moves really fast. So I took some slippage there. So let's just see that. So we're 11:50, and I always sell on the bid. Excuse me. I missed the move there. Let's watch this. 11:50. There, it just popped right down to 11:45, 11:42. So never really gave me a chance to get out at 11:49. But these are risky trades. These volatile movers. So I noticed at EXPR, this is another bad choice I made, because this wasn't in the top 3 volume, but I noticed that it was one of the top gainers, and it was moving pretty well. And I was looking at this like an ABCD pattern, like here's A, here's B, and then looking for a pullback for entry. And then so I bought in for the break of this candle, and then my stop loss was the low of those 2 candles. And this trade fails, so I get out. At least, I mean, the good news is that I'm taking, my stop, so I'm keeping the losses from getting too big. Although I didn't really do that in that aftermarket trade. So now on AMC, I'm taking the next pullback. So since this one failed, now this becomes, so this is A, B, and this becomes C. Because this is basically a fake breakout. So it turns, and there was one here as well. It just turns this into one big pullback. So, and generally it does work out if you kind of keep on, if you get a good move, as long as it doesn't pull back below that point A, eventually you catch the right entry. So sometimes you have to take a loss or two. And generally I just give myself, 3 tries. If on the 3rd try it fails, then I stop trading for that day. So here's my 2R profit target. And my stop loss, which I guess was like 1047 or 1048. And notice it came down close. Now, this is one thing that I'm not trying to sugarcoat this, but I have to give myself some credit for, because even with all this crap that I was doing, one thing that was likely to happen that I used to do is after I took a bunch of failed trades and bad trades, as soon as I had one where I was in the profit at all, I would start scaling out. And at least that's a habit I've seemed to have broken. Because look at this one, it was very tempting to try and scale out, because it looked like, it might fail again, but I held strong, and that trade went right to 2R. And at this point, this is all wrong. I got to show you that too, how the daily P&L could be very deceiving, and people can use it to manipulate you into how good or bad their trading is. So that was a winning trade, a 2R trade. And now, I was thinking the next pullback would be probably another strong entry, because now this thing basically reversed, and here's a new ABCD pattern. But this isn't really part of my plan or strategy, because I like to trade like the extreme levels, and this is kind of like an inside trade, meaning that we're not at the bottom like of a pullback, and we didn't break through the previous high. So this is not at extreme support and resistance, and that means that it's less likely to work out, and that's why I don't normally trade it. But like I said, today I was just doing all kinds of crazy things. So this one, my stop loss was like $11.99, I guess. And there I got stopped out on that one. So let's see again, this kind of gives you an idea of what's going on, but it's not really accurate. And I'll show you why after we get through these trades. All right, so I think this is the last trade that I took. So kind of the same thing again, like thinking that, okay, that was a fake breakout. And if I keep taking an entry, I'll catch the real breakout. So here's 12.18 and my stop is below the low of this candle. There's my 2-hour profit target. And again, I'm practicing holding strong, and there I get filled. So that was another 2-hour trade that worked out. And I think that was it. Yeah, that was my last trade. So let me show you something really interesting about the way this P&L, can deceive you. People can use it to deceive you. If I go to, this is today, I believe. Today's the 27th. I could just show you this and say on that HDSN trade, I made $3.43. But what I really made on that trade, rather lost. I put it on yesterday's because I really was supposed to get out. But here's my real P&L, $5.98, maybe even $6, because I don't remember if I included the 2 cents sell fee. And I am not sure if there's a way that it should show it over here if I go to stock P&L, since I only took one trade on that. There we go. Yep, $6 is what I lost on that trade. So that's a way that people could deceive you on their P&L. So just, be careful with who you listen to. Because here, obviously, it looks like I won. So the way Webull does it is if you, I basically had money out in the market when the pre-market opened. And as soon as I got that money back, it shows up as P&L. It doesn't take into account the money that I lost from the previous day in the trade. And then on EXPR, even though I won the last 2-hour trades, I was down 172 because the earlier trades were really high risk, and meaning the stops were really wide. And then AMC, or sorry, I just said that about Express, and I meant to, what I was just saying pertained to AMC. The last 2 trades were green trades, but the earlier trades were much higher risk. So I really made a mess of things here. And I think I'm going to take tomorrow off because of that and come back on Friday and just stick to, what I've been trying to do and stick to just pre-market trading. Notice that I've added everything up. This is all updated now. Even with all of that garbage that I did today, I'm still green overall in the pre-market, right? So that just kind of shows you how well I do in the pre-market, is even when I make a mess of things and take a bunch of bad trades, I'm still green. Obviously, intraday, I'm doing terribly, and I decided not to trade intraday for that reason and a few others. And then the after hours, I was green on, but after that trade that I took yesterday, I'm now red in the after hours. So I'm definitely not going to trade. I'm going to make it a rule, no more after hours trading, because I just don't feel comfortable, not just because of that loss, but I know going in, I'm not going to feel comfortable because I don't know the actual volume that's being traded in the stock. And this is interesting. So here's my actual P&L for the week right now, down 666. And this is the 2-hour P&L, which this doesn't include the slippage. And this is if I didn't take any of these yellow trades, I would actually be green on the week. And again, if I removed every yellow trade from the month, I'd be green 878. I'm down about that same amount. And this is a reflection of if I would have taken every trade, including all the yellow trades, and just held the 2R, because in the first week I was doing really bad about scaling out. I was scaling out instead of holding to 2R. So that's what all those numbers are. Hopefully you stuck around for this whole video, because lots of crazy stuff happened here. And I think, to be honest with you, I think I got caught up in some of the hype with what was going on with GameStop and all of that, and thinking that AMC was going to be the next one, which it might be, but I think that's, and not to say that those were all bad trades, but it just I think it all started yesterday with that HDSN trade, and just went downhill from there. So, actually, if I remove the HDSN trade, then I think let me see if I can, or if that actually, if I got filled at 210, I would be green on the week, but because my target was 213, and so anyway, I don't know, just it's kind of crazy how one trade could just really throw everything off. And again, I'm not blaming the way that trade worked out. I have to take the blame because, like I said, I after hours was iffy for me anyway, and now it's going to be a hard and fast rule: no trading in the after hours. So anyway, hopefully you guys got through this, because there was a lot to learn from here. And I guess I'll see you on Friday, because tomorrow I definitely should take the day off. All right, take care. Hope you guys are doing well, and trading your plan and your strategy, and always take your stop loss no matter what. Even if you entered into a risky trade, or you did something stupid, don't add to the stupidity by holding on to it. So that's all I can say. All right, take care.